In this video, we are going to cover monohybrid crosses. So the prefix mono means one. So a monohybrid cross is a cross involving one trait. So maybe we're looking at crossing a pea plant with purple flowers and a pea plant with white flowers. And we're looking at how flower color is going to be passed on by itself. That's a monohybrid cross. It's the most basic type of cross, and it's going to be the foundation for every other type of cross that we learn in this unit. So it's crucial that you get these down. And if you can get these down, you can get any type. Here are some examples of traits that we see in humans that we would classify as monohybrid. So there's a dominant and a recessive form of each of these traits, and you would have either one. A lot of these we looked at in the inventory of traits activity. We are going to utilize something called the four-step method to solve genetic cross problems. The first step is to pick a letter and define it. So you would pick whatever, A. Capital A equals the dominant trait, lowercase a equals the recessive trait. So maybe my dominant trait is yellow peas, my recessive trait is green peas. I give the dominant trait to the capital letter, recessive trait to the lowercase letter. Step 2 is going to be to show the cross. So you're going to show the genotypes of the parents, be the genotype of mom, cross with the genotype of dad, or you can flip-flop those, doesn't matter. That information should be given to you along with the information to do step 1 in the problem. Step 3 is going to be to actually make and complete the Punnett square. And then step 4 is going to show the possible genotypes and phenotypes of the offspring and the probability of the offspring having each one. So we'll show you some examples in this video. Hopefully the 4-step method will make sense, but you do need to show all 4 steps to get full points on a genetics problem. So please follow and complete all 4 steps when you're doing practice to get some healthy habits. So for our first problem, we have rabbits. Black fur is dominant over brown fur. If a homozygous dominant rabbit is crossed with a heterozygous rabbit, what are the possible genotype and phenotype percentages of the offspring? So step 1 is we're going to pick a letter, and we are going to define what the capital letter is going to represent and what the lowercase letter is going to represent. So since black fur is dominant over brown fur, I know black fur should go with the capital letter, and brown fur should go with the lowercase letter. So I'm going to use the letter B. Capital B will be for black fur because it's dominant. Lowercase b will go for brown fur because it's recessive. Second step, I need to show the cross. So we have a homozygous dominant rabbit crossed with a heterozygous rabbit. A homozygous dominant, homo means the same, will have 2 dominant alleles. So we will have big B for this first rabbit, and it's crossed with a heterozygous rabbit. Hetero means different, so this rabbit will have 1 big B and 1 little b. So here's my cross. The next step is going to be to actually fill out the Punnett square. Now remember, I told you that the parents, their alleles go on the top and the side, and the offspring will fill in the middle. So I'm going to take this first rabbit, whose genotype is big B, and I want you to remember that when organisms form their gametes through meiosis, each gamete will get 1 of the alleles, which means the big B will be separate. half of the sperm will get one of the big B's, half of the sperm will get the other big B. For the other rabbit, so let's say it's the female, right? She has eggs. So big B, little b will get separated. Half of the alleles will go to one, or half of the eggs will get one allele, half of the eggs will get the other. So we'll separate those. This will represent the 50% of the eggs that have the big B allele, and this will represent the other 50% of the eggs that have the little b allele. To fill in the inside of the Punnett square, we basically play battleship. We're going to bring this big B over and this big B down to get this genotype for this potential offspring. We'll do the same thing here. Bring big B down, bring big B over. This would be a genotype of another potential offspring. For this box, we'll bring big B down, little b over to get this potential genotype. And the same thing here, bring big B down, little b over so that we have this potential genotype. One thing to note, when you have a capital and a lowercase letter, we typically write the capital letter first, just so we don't miss it. So I would get in that habit. Otherwise, if you do little b, big B, sometimes you can miss the big B and you think it's not heterozygous, but it's homozygous recessive, which it's not. So that's our Punnett square. What this is telling us is that there's a 25% chance of the offspring having this genotype. There's a 25% chance of them having this genotype, a 25% chance of them having this genotype, and a 25% chance of them having this genotype. So when we're asked to find the genotype and phenotype percentages of the offspring, we would say that there's a 50% chance the babies will be homozygous dominant, because there's a 25% chance they'll be here, plus a 25% chance they could be here. So they could inherit this big B and this big B, or they could inherit this big B and this big B. The other 50% is coming from these two boxes down here that are heterozygous. So there's a 50% chance that the offspring could also fall into one of these boxes and be heterozygous. Your percentages for the genotypes should add up to 100%. For the phenotypes, anytime you see a box with a capital letter in it, that offspring or those offspring will have the dominant trait. So just count how many boxes have a big B in them. Oh, look, all 4, meaning that there's a 100% chance of all the offspring having black fur. The only way that we could have an offspring with brown fur would be that we would need a box that has little b in it, which we do not. So we will have no brown furred rabbit babies. For this problem, we're going to keep with the black fur and the brown furred rabbits. This time we have a homozygous dominant rabbit crossed with a homozygous recessive rabbit. And we want to know the possible genotype and phenotype percentages of the F1 generation, which is another term for the offspring. So we are again going to pick a letter and define it as our step 1. So I think I'm going to stick with B. Big B will be for black fur because it's dominant. Little b will be for brown fur because it's recessive. For my second step, I need to show the cross. So I have a homozygous dominant rabbit. Homo means the same. So I have 2 dominant alleles for my first rabbit. So that's going to be big B, big B. And I'm crossing it with a homozygous recessive rabbit. Homo means the same. So I have 2 recessive alleles, which would be little b, little b. My third step is plugging that into my Punnett square. So I'm going to put one of the parents, I'm going to separate their alleles out on the top. So I'm going to put big B over one column, big B over the other. So this is saying that half of their gametes will have this big B, half of their gametes will have this one. And I'll do the same with the little b, separate those out, and we can fill in the boxes. Bring the big B down, little b over, big B down, little b over, big B down, little b over, big B down, little b over. Now for our possible genotype percentages, we see all these babies will be the same. So we would say that 100%, there's a 100% chance that any offspring of these rabbits will be heterozygous. Hetero means different, so we have a dominant and a recessive allele, different alleles. So 100% heterozygous for the genotypes. And for the phenotypes, every box that has a capital letter will code for the dominant allele. So all of these babies will have black fur. So we'd say there's a 100% chance of the babies having black fur. Why don't you try pausing the video here, see if you can do this one on your own, and then hit play when you're ready. So for this one, again, we have black fur being dominant over brown fur. So for step 1, you should have had big B or whatever letter you chose being black fur and little b being brown fur. For our cross, we have a heterozygous rabbit crossed with another heterozygous rabbit. Hetero means different. So that means that both of these rabbits will have one big B and one little b allele, giving us this cross. When you go to fill in the Punnett square, the parent you put on the top, half of their gametes will have a big B, half of their gametes will have a little b. So you should have it like that. And same with the other parent, big B, little b. And then you play Battleship. Bring big B down, big B over, big B over, little b down, big B down, little b over, little b down, little b over. For our genotypes, I see one box is big B, 2 boxes are big B, little b, and 1 box is little b, little b. So there's a 1 in 4 chance that the babies will be big B. That's 25% homozygous dominant. There's a 2 out of 4 chance that babies will be heterozygous, so that's 50% heterozygous. And the other 25% will be homozygous recessive. For the phenotypes, we count how many boxes have a capital B in them. I see 3 out of the 4. So 3 out of the 4 will have black fur, and the other 1 will have brown. 3 out of 4 is 75%. So you should say that there's 75% of a chance the babies will have black fur, and the other 25% chance is for brown fur. So that's it for monohybrid crosses.